Welcome back to Askewed Reviews, and today we are doing the second movie in a movie franchise, the 1997 horror mystery slasher movie Scream 2. Here is the trivia question for today's episode. We get to see most of the main characters of Stab in this movie, but not Dewey. What actor is mentioned as playing him? The beginning of the film starts 2 years later after the first movie. We are joining Sidney Prescott, once again played by Neve Campbell, but she's now in college. We also have a new Ghostface killer who's going after Sid once again and all of her friends. Two additional things that have happened in this 2-year time gap is Gale Weathers put out a book, The Woodsboro Murders, and it has now been turned into a movie called Stab. In this movie within a movie sequence, we see that Heather Graham is playing Casey, Luke Wilson is playing Billy, and Tori Spelling is playing Sydney. What's really funny about this is in the first movie, someone asks Sydney who would be playing her in a movie. Someone suggests Meg Ryan. She feels that it would be someone terrible like Tori Spelling. In an interesting twist of fate, Robert Rodriguez was brought in to direct the sequences for the fake Stab movie. What's funny about this is that Robert Rodriguez was a possibility for the original director of the first Scream movie. There are definitely some familiar faces that come back for the sequel, including Courtney Cox as Gale Weathers, David Arquette as Dewey, Jamie Kennedy as Randy, and even bringing back Liev Schreiber as Cotton Weary in a much larger role. There are also some new faces added to the main character cast as well, including Jerry O'Connell, Josh Duhamel, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Elise Neal, and Laurie Metcalf. You've also got some interesting cameo appearances as well, including Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett Smith right at the beginning of the movie, Portia de Rossi and Rebecca Gayheart, Joshua Jackson, Dwayne Martin, and Louis Arquette, who is in fact the father of David Arquette and plays the sheriff in this movie. David Warner also makes an appearance in this movie, and what's interesting about that is he originally tried out for the role of Freddy Krueger in the first Nightmare on Elm Street. Wes Craven really wanted to work with him, but chose Robert Englund instead, so he managed to get him in this movie. Another interesting piece of trivia related to casting for this movie is Paulette Patterson, who plays the usher at the beginning of the movie, won a contest to be somewhere in Scream 2. Here are some other blink and you'll miss it cameos. Kevin Williamson, who has written the first and second Scream movies, appears as the interviewer for Cotton Weary. Wes Craven, the director, appears as a doctor in the background of one of the scenes in the hospital. And even one of the killers from the first movie, Matthew Lillard, shows up in the background scene of the party. Here's some other stuff you also may have missed. In the dorm room belonging to both Sydney and Haley, you can see a sweater that looks eerily like Freddy Krueger's sweater. When Randy's body is found, if you look very carefully, you'll notice a lipstick mark on his hand, alluding to the fact that one of the killers may in fact be female. Here are some interesting casting possibilities. The character of Cece is played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, but there was also a possibility it could have been played by Reese Witherspoon, Candace Cameron Bure, Melissa Joan Hart, Ellen Pompeo, Alicia Silverstone, and even Rebecca Gayheart, who tried out for the first movie and tried to be Tatum. Unfortunately, Rose McGowan beat her out for that, so she tried out for Casey, didn't get that, but she managed to be one of the sorority girls in this movie. The character of Mickey did go to Josh Duhamel, but there was a possibility at one point that it was going to be Tobey Maguire. There was also almost a very interesting what-if scenario here, as the original script for the movie got leaked. Once they found out that was leaked, Kevin Williamson sat down and rewrote the entire script and changed up the characters. One of the biggest changes was who the killers were going to be. In the original script, it was going to be Derek and Haley, with Debbie being more of a mentor role for the two of them. There was also an interesting deleted scene where apparently at the end of the movie, there was going to be a third ghost face standing up in a bell tower watching the main characters as the camera pans back on them. One last piece of trivia to leave you with is just to let you know how hardworking this cast was. 4 out of the cast members were actually deeply involved in television series while this movie was being filmed. Neve Campbell was in Party of 5, Courtney Cox was in Friends, Jerry O'Connell was in Sliders, and Sarah Michelle Gellar was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So in my personal opinion, it was a pretty good sequel, but I felt that there was a lot of confusing points in this movie, and maybe that was due to all the rewrites. So unfortunately, I am going to have to give this movie a 3 out of 5. Also, if at any point you're interested to see what the original script looked like, you can still find it online today. and there are quite a few differences, including the fact that pretty much everyone was planned to die. Now, for the trivia question from the beginning of the episode. We get to see most of the main characters of Stab in this movie, but not Dewey. What actor is mentioned as playing him? It is revealed in the movie that Dewey is in fact played by David Schwimmer in the movie Stab. If you liked this episode of Askewed Reviews, please check out our other episodes, and as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe.